Well, hello, everybody. Great rising and good morning, wherever you are. It is a wonderful Saturday, and you are here with the lead community. I am your actual host. My name is Kesia L. Jones, and we are here this rising to have a deep dive conversation about experiential education with Dr. Lawrence M. Drake. And so I'm excited. I know it's early, but if you are in the building, if you are ready for this, please put it in the chat. Let me know where you're calling from. Put it in the chat and let me know if you're excited about being here. I always ask everyone when we start a live or we start a session that it's about the energy that you bring to the table. Whatever you put in, that's what you're going to get out. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm fabulous, 1 being I'm barely here, honey, I just woke up. Let me know what your number is. Give me where you're located and put whatever number you are in the chat today. So as you're coming in, I just want to celebrate everyone for coming here on a Saturday morning. As we talk about experiential education and focusing on how to make sure that our scholars are experiencing what they need to be successful in this new world that we are creating. So without going too deep into the session on today, I'm going to go ahead and get us started with our illustrious president. This is my privilege and my honor to bring him to the table. Everyone, this is Dr. Lawrence Drake. Dr. Drake, how are you feeling today?
I am an 11, so just so
Yeah,
you know, we're not going for 10. We have to go beyond that.
you got
Good
to go
morning.
beyond. Good morning. Good morning. So you're feeling good. I'm excited about this conversation. Let me ask you this. What do you feel like is the most important thing that you want people to take away today? What hits you already before we get started?
I want people to understand that when we talk about education, we're really moving that conversation to the word of learning. And the
Yeah.
reason is that we think education is more passive, learning is much more active. And to that end, to answer your question really precisely, we want learning to be a lifestyle, not an event.
I love it. Learning is a lifestyle. That's a generational thing.
That's
And
right.
so we're going to get a little deeper into that. That learning did not stop when you got your degree. This is a lifestyle event that we're talking about.
Right.
So with that being said, I don't want to go too far without giving people the opportunity to learn what is lead about. So Dr. Drake, you're the perfect person to just really share the background, the heart, and the history, and I'm just going to turn it over to you. You please take that away.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, again, good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about an organization that's near and dear to my heart, Leadership Education and Development, which we affectionately refer to as LEAD. LEAD was founded in 1980 primarily as a summer pre-college, college prep organization, and our first foray into that discipline was at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. We brought together a number of corporate executives and those in the academic community to really lay the foundation of what we would do about preparing young people for college. Now, what was interesting in our early days, of course, is that we really needed to figure out who would be interested in coming to the University of Pennsylvania for a summer residency program. Summer residency meaning living on campus for a period of time during the summer, taught by college professors and also what we call professional faculty. That means those from the industry, and to teach them about the real life um, ways of business. In other words, how it gets done practically every day, not just the academic portion. And what we discovered, of course, is that we needed a way to do that. So we use various different access points, the College Board. We used an organization called A Better Chance. All of those organizations were helpful in constructing that first cohort. The first cohort, which was a group of 30 young students from around the country, high school, rising seniors in high school, um, many applied for the program, the first 30 that got in. Of that 30 that got into the program and spent a summer with us, about 15 of them, or 50% of them, applied to the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School as an undergrad. Of those, 50% of them actually got in. Those that got into the undergraduate program at UPenn, the rest of them actually went on and got into other places. But of that group that got into Penn, 100% of them graduated in 4 years. The rest of that cohort, actually, in that first year, all of them graduated also in 4 years. If you fast forward to today, we have over 27,000 participants who have come through and are part of the LEAD community at about 28 to 29 universities around the world. We are very diverse: 44% African American, 38% Latino, 11% Native American, 4% Caucasian, 3% Asian on average. And we're also almost equal male female, which is another very interesting point. And we still graduate 100% of our population, most of them in 4 years. I'd say we're doing pretty well if you look at those stats. However, what we know is that we're living in a changing world. And the world that we live in today has really caused Lee to look at its mission in a very different way. Not that it isn't still about college prep, but when we talk about our mission, we say simply this: we are committed to developing generations of lifelong learners with the capacity to contribute to humankind, equipped to think differently about how they learn, where they learn, what they learn, and more importantly, the application of what they learn. And so it's important to understand that in this changing community, in this changing world, we are adapting and agile to the current times. We are a 21st century learning organization, and we are moving from education to learning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. This, for me, this is my passion. I've been in the education field for several years now. But I will say the thing about lead, I love the success record, and the success record comes from a changed mindset on education and what learning looks like. But I love the statement that you always make. Even though we've done well, even though it's been wonderful, we haven't done our best work yet. And so this discussion is about that next leg of the best work that we're doing. So right now we are going to bring up our panelists for this discussion. I'm very excited that they are coming into the room. I see you, Mr. Dave Heinrichs, who is the actual director over there with Lehigh University. He is a professor of practice. So glad to have you. How are you doing, Dave?
Great, great. Happy Saturday. Although it's rainy here, I guess it's a sunny day online anyway.
It's a sunny day online. It's all, you can bring the sun in all the time. I love it. Good to have you, Dave. And I see Miss Tawana, Miss Fabulous, I say. Tawana is the director of operations over here at LEAD, but she also is the director over there at Lehigh with that university program here with GSLI. So, Tawana, how are you feeling this morning?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm ready.
I know
Yay.
you're beaming. It's beautiful.
I'm
Well,
trying.
well, we are here to start this conversation about experiential education. And there's a place that I wanted to go, but I want to start with this. Dr. Drake, how would you define experiential education, and so that we can all come to the table with an understanding?
Well, I think that the most important thing, definition wise, for experiential education, again, is if you think about education, we're really inverting that to talk about learning. And so
Yeah,
you almost can substitute the word education for learning in a very constructive way, because what you're really talking about is the activity of learning, and you're talking about applied learning. Education today means something different than it meant many years ago. And when we named this particular seminar today that we're spending time on, we wanted to make sure that we could distinguish between education and learning.
right.
But we didn't want to do that to confuse everyone. So it's really about the activity of learning. Experiential learning means you are doing it, you're actively able to apply it and engage in it. And that to me is the most powerful way, not only for our young learners to learn, but for people in general, humankind, to really understand that learning is about doing. It is
Yeah.
about being actively engaged. It's about experiencing it. You can't really talk about education unless you're talking about it in the context of learning. And
Right.
then you can talk about learning when you're talking in the context of experience.
Right. So we're moving beyond the concept of lecture style. I'm in the classroom and I'm just taking these notes, and my goal is to spew that back to you. And I love what you said. Learning is doing. It's about taking what you get and applying it. So I'm going to ask my directors here, when you hear that, I want to hear your first thoughts, and I specifically want to go to, what do you feel the benefits are of experiential learning? Either one of you can go.
Okay. Well, again, I echo Dr. Drake's comments about the educational process and focus is changing significantly, and I think certainly what we've learned is that this idea of applying it. All right, and so because it has to do with retention. Recently, I listening to a former professor, now the president of a college in Israel, was talking about this idea of knowledge, educational knowledge. And I think that sort of fits what we're talking about here. He said, knowledge is the ability to take something you've learned and apply it in a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things, for example, the project that the students work on during their time at LEAD gives them a chance to apply some of the things that they've heard in the classroom. We're still going to have a little bit of that lecture stuff going on, but it gives them a chance to actually take those things and apply them in a setting that's maybe different than what they heard the professor talk about, and certainly their project area. Again, so being able to try these things that they, to practice. So it's just like learning a sport. You can read a book about bowling or golf or whatever you like, but until you actually apply that knowledge or that learning, you don't really have, don't really have that skill set embedded in you. And so that's
Right.
a big thing. One of the things we're trying to do and emphasize, and let them develop an appreciation for why that's important.
Yeah, I love that. Really, really, I love the concept of embedding that, so that it's almost like muscle memory. It is a part of your being, and you can use that information in various settings. Ms. Walker, what are your thoughts?
Well, for me, it's that on the job experience. So I'm going to date myself a little bit. I know when I was thinking of going to college, I didn't have an internship and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just decided to major in business. And I did that because that was always the safe route for my
Right.
generation. But if I had had the opportunity to see someone doing things, to experience what that type of job would be, then maybe I might have chosen a different career field. But I think the students really, or the scholars too as well, they really would benefit from this learning, experiential learning, because they're going to see it. They're going to be like, this is what I can do, or maybe I need to do something else. Because a lot of times we'll mirror what others do for careers. And then we'll get into it and we're like, I absolutely hate this. I
Yeah.
really wanted to do something different. And had I had that experience to be able to try it before I buy it, then maybe I would have chosen a different route. So I think it's very beneficial. And Lee does an amazing job of offering those opportunities to the scholars to be able to see people who look like you and me doing those
Right.
things that they never thought they could do. And then that really gets them excited about the program and they continue on and they get into all those type of careers.
I love it. I love it. Really, even when you say that, the phrase "you have to see it to be it" really comes up. But there's that two parts to that: seeing it to be it, to know that I can achieve that, but also to recognize, is that something I really want to do? To be able to experience that before I make a full on career commitment to something. And I think that is the beauty of Lead, the opportunity to see various ways of showing for success in life. Dr. Drake, any comments on that? Because I just think that was beautifully put.
Yeah, no, both Dave and Tawana really hit the nail on the head in both their comments. I think that one of the interesting things is to note that higher education, as we term it today, is still very, very critically important. But there are some issues and challenges, and many of those really emerged during COVID. I mean, it exposed some things that we weren't doing as well and needed to do as an industry. And I think if you look at, some of the things that jump out, one is that we were really good and have been good throughout the course of history of certifying knowledge rather than nurturing learning. So there's a very different way of doing those two things. Certifying knowledge is the assessment tools that we use and the kinds of assessments that we tend to do. We take a quiz, we take a test, we do that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. However, what's better, I think, and what we're going to find the students of the future is that these student learners want to nurture the learning. Experiential learning actually is the pure definition of that. And when you talk about some of the trends that are emerging, learning from everywhere. When we got into COVID, it changed the whole dynamic of, well, let's just take that class that we were doing face-to-face and now let's move that to, the virtual world. Well, we all know now that doesn't really work. There has to be a multimodality approach. There has to be a different way of approaching it. Secondly, is that teaching skills that remain relevant in the world is what our young people and our adult learners are interested in. By the way, adult learning is the fastest growing category of learners in the world, meaning that those who thought they knew stuff now know they need to know new stuff. And so that's happening. The other thing is that we're replacing lectures with active learning. You talked about it earlier, standing up in front of a classroom and giving a lecture. Sorry, that's not what the learners really enjoy anymore. We've got to make it interesting. We've got to do some things. LEAD is really doing some of that work in the way in which we're developing our programming and developing the experiences that we want our scholars to have. And then finally, I talk about formative assessments instead of high stakes standardized exams. When you talk about formative assessments, they tie very nicely to experiential learning. They tie very nicely to really saying, okay, so prove to me that you can actually do that skill. Show me how what you learned in the classroom or what you learned in a particular job experience or that you learned as an intern, show me how that works. In the knowledge economy, people are going to pay you for what you know and what you can do, not what's on your resume. What's on your resume is important structurally, but it's not really important in terms of how you will grow not only your compensation, but your experiences that will take you to the next level. And that will be true for the remainder of high school. That will be true in college. That will be true in apprenticeships and internships. And it will definitely be true when you move to the full-time workforce.
Very true. Very true. I want to speak to that because really, when we say experiential education, we are talking about a real live experience that a scholar is having with knowledge, with another, not even, I wouldn't say a lecturer, but a guide in the process. And the reason why I bring that up is because even what you said, really, some school systems we see a change, even in the concept of what's needed for graduation, like the process of creating portfolios, but that's not happening everywhere. And I want to dig into that with my panelists. Talk to me about the barriers to these opportunities that all of our scholars need. What barriers do you feel we need to break to offer more opportunities to our youth and young adults?
Okay. Well, I think one of the things is this the ability to work with others. So one of the magic things that LEAD does is take young people from all over the country, Puerto Rico and other places, kind of put them in a team and say, hey, here's a task, working together, make that happen. And so I think Dr. Drake uses the term nurturing. So one of the things to learn, and this is one of the first sessions we have is with one of our professors that deals in the human resource area, basically talking about this idea of how do you work together kind of to be successful. It's not a zero-sum game. In other words, if we can do things together better, we're all going to come out ahead. And so that's a skill set in the real world that's extremely important, especially in the workplace we have today. And I think that Dr. Drake's point, that's one of the things we lost with the Zoom world, providing that interaction, that informal, in the hallway type of thing that really is beneficial. We basically lost it. We didn't know how to do that necessarily on Zoom. And I'm not sure you necessarily can do that as effectively as in person. So I think the group, learning to work in a group, and especially a group of folks that you didn't necessarily know, because in the real world, and one of the things I get sometimes complaints from students is, well, I didn't get to pick my teammates. Well, in the real world, when you get hired, you don't get to pick your teammates either. And sometimes that can be challenging, but that's also a growth thing. But I think one of the things they learn, and you saw this in the groups that presented at the recent LEAD event we had in Washington, D.C., how they nurtured each other, how they complemented the skills of one in those groups. It was like really exciting to watch those young people in terms of sharing the enthusiasm they had about the ideas they came up with, making that happen. But you could, when they were together, you could see that this was clearly they were almost like a family situation with their squabbles as well, right? Because they're competitive. But I think that to me, getting that you asked about the hurdles, I think one of those challenges is how do I learn to work with people that are different than me, people that I have not grown up with, and how do I make that work as a team? And so I think that's and again, something LEAD tries to do is they give them experience in that environment, right? Getting thrown into that team thing with a real world problem to solve in a short period of time. And so I think that, again, that's just kind of getting your hands dirty around overcoming that elite challenge. At least that's one of the things I see.
Yeah. Group dynamic. Listen, I actually want to use what you just said in the rest of our time together, because as we know, when we work in groups, certain times conversations overlap, and it's totally okay. So you don't have to wait for me to call on you. If something hits you, this is a global classroom that we are having right now. And so I'm going to tell the people that are watching, all of our guests here, you're still in the room with us. So if you have a question, comment, something that's coming up, or something hits you, please put it in the chat. We do want to acknowledge you. I think we had someone that said, I'm calling in from the motherland. So we celebrate you. Thank you for being in the room today. But Ms. Walker, what do you feel in terms of obstacles that are hindering us from giving those opportunities to our scholars?
The first thing I think of is the financial aspect. A lot of times the scholars believe that they don't have the finances, their parents won't be able to afford a great opportunity like this. So if we can put ourselves in a position where we can offer more scholarships for our youth, that will definitely help with the barriers as well. And the fear of the unknown. Some of the scholars who we really need to touch and who would benefit most from this program, they don't know about it. So if you don't know about it, how can we sit here and showcase it and you get that opportunity? So we just really need to put ourselves in spaces and places where we can put it out there, get the program out there to there and let them learn more about it. Some of them have never been away from home. So to have the opportunity to experience a full hands-on residential experience at a university for 2 full weeks is great. I mean, they wouldn't have that across the country. They wouldn't have that opportunity. I wish I had something like that. Now, I will say I did do Upper Bound. So I was able to, go a couple hours away from home to Purdue. But still, to be able to go across the country, that would be great. So we just need to put ourselves out there. And the benefits. We need to make sure that the scholars and the parents are fully aware of the benefits of being a part of a LEAD program. Just not only that experiential learning, that lifelong learning, the mentorship, the friendships, the opportunities that you get that you normally wouldn't have, being able to meet people and have those discussions about just different career paths and being able to bring those people in as people who can help you along the way. So these are things that, like I said, when I was growing up, I didn't have. So these are opportunities that I just want to be able to share with everyone. And I think if we just focus on some of those areas, we'll be able to bring in more and more of our youth and continue to educate them because they're our future.
Well, I definitely agree with that. And as we talk about barriers, one of the things that we've done and that we are doing in this year's version of GSLI is that we actually are offering a larger percentage of scholarships than we've ever offered in the past. Most of the time, our number hovers around 40%. We're actually now this year, post-pandemic, for some of the things that we've seen happen with some of our families and some of the changing nature of the workforce, we're right now at about 46% of those who have applied have received some form of scholarship support. So the number has grown. So we are doing exactly what Tawana said we should do. Secondly, in terms of this live webinar is another opportunity for us to expose the organization. Traditionally, we have never had to recruit. And frankly, we're still in a place where we get a number of competitive applications and we have to actually not accept people because our class sizes are full. However, this year we actually have extended our time. We're offering a few more slots to students, to student applicants. And that also is a way of exposing more people to our community. And as I said a moment ago, this live event, and we'll have another one May 20th, is another example of exposing ourselves to a larger landscape and making sure that people know about who we are and what we're doing. So, two of the things that she mentioned are important, both financially and in exposing ourselves to a larger landscape, are both things that we're doing now in real time.
Right, right. And I love that about LEAD. It's we're trying to move the hurdles out of the way. But I want to go back to that exposure piece because a lot of times you don't know what you don't know, and there's gold right in your backyard, so to speak. And LEAD, this particular program is amazing for that. And I want to combine two questions I have in terms of this community. When you think of our counselors, our teachers, and our principals, and even our parents, how do we get them more involved in sharing sharing these opportunities to our scholars and even to families so that they are prepared for LEAD experiences beyond what they've experienced before? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that one of the things that we are doing is not only events like these, but we're going to be going deeper into the school systems and school districts. We're partnering with various districts around the country. We actually had one of our lead winners of the Leading for Life Challenge to create an app that actually exposes through the app summer programs that are offered around the country, all kinds of programs. Those things were, it was a creative idea that they came up with. It wasn't our idea. But to tell you how important the idea is, we're actually using that app. So we've become a customer of someone who actually created something within our community, which is pretty fabulous when you think about the reason to do this kind of stuff. And so in that way, we're doing it. But to put a fine point on your comment, one of the other things that I really believe is going to be important to our future is instead of just recruiting one individual to our community, we want to create an entire family and recruit an entire family to come into the community. That means that we need to have programming that is across the spectrum. So if you're K-12, there's programming. If you're in college, there's programming. If you are in the workforce or an alum or a graduate student, there's programming. So we've created GSLI for our summer programming. We've created GILI for those that are in college. We've created EDLI, which will ultimately be the platform for our adult programming and growth programming for adults and for graduate students and alums, because we realize we need the entire family to be a learning apparatus. We need the entire family to take up the charge and the mission of being lifelong learners.
I hope everybody heard that, because basically what Dr. Drake said is, if you're breathing, we have a program for you. That's basically what you just said. So, because we're focused on the whole family, and there is that community piece to this. Ms. Walker, you mentioned that in terms of what you walk away with from this program is not just the education alone, but you really become a part of a family that is focused on success. And I've literally seen companies being built through the program here at LEAD. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you these last two questions in terms of I want to get your thoughts on how we can get parents, because I know we want to support our parents. How do we assist them and help them even become more excited about experiential learning? And even beyond that, this is my last question I want to go over. How do we get students excited? How do we get these scholars excited about these programs to know the benefit for them? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, students, basically, sometimes they aren't interested in hearing what some of us folks with the gray hair have to say. They're oftentimes looking for their friends. Yes. Yeah, or yes, that different challenge, right? Again, so I think, one of the things, in terms of getting some of these students that have been successes that can be able to talk about the program, to get them to share those stories on on YouTube or other social media channels, where they can hear from students that have gone through this. It adds not only credibility but visibility. Today, there's just so much information being thrown around; it's really hard to break through. And so it's a matter of finding kind of that what's that crack where we can expose these success stories, these young folks that have built, real estate empires and come up with these great products, kind of coming out of their lead experience. And so I think that's part of the key. So some of that might be finding some partners that can help us share that message. Other organizations that have a link to these communities. Again, one of the things, there's some high schools that do a great job of sharing about the programs like LEAD. And some of us, like myself, was fortunate to have a high school professor or instructor says, hey, I think you should try this experience, which I never would have dreamt of. And again, so let's hope maybe we'll have to spend some time thinking about are there other organizations that can have us give a view into these communities that really don't have the advantage of great counseling services at their high school and that sort of thing, because there's great students at all of these places. They're just not all having the opportunity to hear about it. But I think so getting in that crack and then making use of the success stories that we have, and there's just a lot of them. I think that would be maybe at least part of it would help us get that word out there.
I love it. So true. Ms. Walker, I want you to speak to that in just a second, but I do want to talk to everyone who is watching. So he just said, if you have benefited from it, give a shout out. Let us know that it's been working for you. So if you're in the room and you're a part of the LEAD community in some way, shape or form, put it in the chat and let us know that you're here and celebrate what has happened for you within LEAD. Ms. Walker, you're going to close us out. So what are your thoughts about that?
I echo everything that Dave has said, because that's exactly where I was going. We got to get testimonies out there. These parents want to know what's their return on investment, that benefits. And we have to meet them where we are. If we go to the schools and offer presentations, let's bring a LEAD alum. Just like Dave said, they don't want to hear from us. They want to hear from their own. They want to hear from their peers. They want to hear from someone who's actually done this. So I definitely agree with that. And we have to go to the spaces where they are. If we need them to make a TikTok video, because that's what's hot right now, then let's do that. They're not on Facebook like we are. So we need to definitely be in the places they are. They're using Snapchat, all those different types of venues and different media outlets that we aren't. So just definitely making sure we keep up with the times and we put it out there. What do they always say? The best or worst advertisement is word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? Word of mouth can get you and your business just soaring, or it can just have you just shut down. So let's get those success stories out there. Scholars, alum, please talk to everybody. Tell your mother, your brother, your sister, your daddy. Tell everybody, all your friends, and have them be a part of this LEAD community and this LEAD family, because we love you and we'll be here for you forever. Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
I love it.
Right.
We'll be here forever. We said this in one of our other programs. When you're a part of the LEAD family, you're here for life. So I just want to celebrate our panelists that came on to have this incredible discussion about experiential education. Thank you so much for being here. But I want to tell our audience we are not leaving. We are just actually going to bring on a LEAD alum, like a LEAD fellow, as well as a parent. So I just want to celebrate the fact that we're going to shift into that. But I want to first say thank you. As we exit out, any final comments before we move on?
I just want to say, when you bring the kind of energy to the conversation, you get us all excited. I hope everyone that got the first part of this session not only picked up on your energy, but picked up on some of the insight that was shared. So thank you for leading us through the conversation.
Oh, thank you. Listen, I don't know how you can't be excited about this. We are really developing the next generation of leaders. And when you see that and really understand where we are, it's a beautiful time. And so I'm very excited that we're here and to be a part of LEAD to do this amazing work. So again, thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you, Mr. Hemrick. We will come back to you in a little bit. And then the rest of our team will show up in just a moment. And I think, let's see if we have our guests that are heading into the room. I think, yep, Miss Walker, I'll see you later. I see him. Mr. Michael Strickland's in the
Uh,
building. Yes. Listen, Michael, you are an amazing guest to have on today because not only are you the director of Rex, but you are also a parent of a scholar that went through the LEAD program. So I celebrate you being here because you have two different perspectives to share. So, Michael, how you feeling today?
I feel great. I echo Dr. Drake's sentiment. Your energy brings everybody up, Keisha. So I was just on fire trying to
I
get a
love it.
chance to speak to you.
I love it. I love it. I love you waiting to get into the room. Well, listen, not only do we have a parent and the director of Rex, we have a fabulous individual who is not only a fellow, and he is also in RTA. So let me explain that to you in lead language. An RTA is a residential teaching advisor. And I just want to celebrate Omar Camacho for his amazing work within the lead community. If I could showcase anyone, I think Omar is one of the most amazing individuals to showcase in the way not only have you learned through the program, but you are helping other scholars as they start. So, Omar, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. I'm super excited to discuss experiential learning and just happy to be here with you guys.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's open up the door. We're going to first talk about what Rex, the actual Rex program is about. And I know, Michael, you are the director of the program. I also know Dr. Drake. I'd love for you to first start it off and talk to us about how this partnership began, what Rex is really about, and how parents and scholars can really start getting engaged with the program.
Well, first of all, let me define REX so everyone understands the acronym, which is a real
Right.
estate exchange. And how this program got started is that we have a brand called Jumpstart. Jumpstart is really our recognition of the ability to jumpstart into college. And so when you think about it, it's mostly for our rising high school seniors and seniors in high school. It's a year-round program, and its focus in this particular case is on the commercial real estate industry. Now, we also have a Rex version that is focused on the financial services industry. But in both cases, Jumpstart Rex is really about the immersive learning experience of learning about commercial real estate. And I will tell you that the partnership got started because the parent organization that actually birthed the original program, the Real Estate Executive Council, is the largest group of African American and people of color commercial real estate industry partner. They have been dogmatic about trying to get as much diversity into the industry as possible. And they have partnered with us and allowed us to partner with them to run this program for them and to provide high school students and seniors in high school in particular with the opportunity to see the world through the lens of commercial real estate. So this partnership has been very valuable to us thus far. I can't tell you how excited we are about what we're doing here in 2022. Universities like MIT and Harvard and NYU, University of Miami, are all partners in that program. And we are pleased and really grateful that we've got not only a lead parent and lead veteran experience, but we've got someone who has the expertise and the chops to help lead us through it. So we're really glad that Michael is leading this program.
I love it. And actually, that leads me to say I want to start with Michael. Michael, I would love for you, before we even start talking about the Rex program more in depth, is for you to share about your experience as a lead parent. How was that for you?
So, it's funny because, as a parent, we all strive to be able to provide opportunities for our child, right? We want to sort of guide them. We're always sort of conflicted with the push, the pull. We want them to align. We aspire for them to attain their goals and not necessarily our goals, but we have our own guideposts. And so, when you're working with your child and you try to guide them toward opportunities, careers, you're always sort of second guessing to a certain extent. So when my oldest son expressed some interest in business, and we had a relationship prior to that with Dr. Drake. We thought the program would be great, and it's like most teenagers his age, they were a little bit apprehensive. It wasn't sports camp; they weren't going to, participate in other activities. But so somewhat grudgingly, he accepted the opportunity to participate in the lead program. At that time, it was on the University of Michigan's campus. And so, when he was on campus for 2 weeks, he learned about all the business fundamentals. He matriculated around the campus. He got a chance to compete within a cohort. He developed a peers, his network. The output that came back to our house was phenomenal. And the way I can describe it was, he came back even more so than talking about the business fundamentals and some of the factors he had learned from business school. His level of confidence and maturity had hit a different trajectory. And so when I talk to parents about the opportunities, and the thing that I love about what Dr. Drake has done, the visionary that he is he's intentionally kept the cohort group small because it fosters leadership. It fosters opportunities for individuals that are like-minded, but as one of the other panelists said, they're from different regions, right? So you're forced to work within a peer network group that's not aligned. It's not your normal peers. You're forced to take positions of leadership. And so he came back changed, right? He came back with a different trajectory, confident about not only what he wanted to do, where he wanted to go, and the kind of person and goals that he wanted to attain. So it was one of those rare moments as a parent, we felt like we checked the box.
I love it. I love it. I mean, like that's actual music to a parent's ears. So I know that parents are listening to try and see would this be a great opportunity for my child? And I think that you just made that very clear about what happened before your scholar left and when he came home. And so that's a huge statement to the immediate benefit that you're going to see in terms of change and transformation. Because you are here and the director of Rex, I want to dig deeper into Rex Jumpstart and the actual benefits of the program. So we talked about the benefits that you saw with even in your son. Talk to parents right now about the benefits that they'll see when they bring their scholars through the Rex program.
So similar to what obviously I experienced as a parent, my focus and goal right now is I want to share that benefit that we had, because that benefit is not even more exponential. The opportunity for your child to matriculate on a campus, to basically learn about that school, learn about fundamentals within commercial real estate and entrepreneurship, but really the social learning, the opportunity to work within a small group and really just experience the dynamics of that group, to take the site visits, to develop their networks, to obviously develop their peer groups, and really to learn within an industry that can provide financial independence. The one thing that this program does, and what Dr. Drake has always said, is it's really more about how do we captivate and motivate more than just the individuals, the trajectory of communities and families. So this is the start. This opportunity with this LEAD program will provide you all of that. With the Rex program, the Rex organization is phenomenal, right? They're very intentional in their goal and their curriculum development. And when you combine what Rex has as an organization with what LEAD has done for 42 years, as far as leadership development, servant leadership, developing holistic leaders, like it gets me motivated and excited, because I understand the dynamic of what's changing in the world today and the need to really make certain that we're developing holistic system thinkers that can think beyond one area of functionality.
Listen, now you have hit my button. When you say holistic leaders, that's my lane right there, and I totally agree with you. That is what is happening over here at Lead, building the next generation of leaders holistically. Let's talk about let's go deeper into some of the specifics as it relates with Rex and the commercial real estate industry. Talk to me a little bit about your experience and how that's connected to the Rex program.
Okay, so it's funny. I met Dr. Drake. We were working together on another smaller project, and we talked a little bit about my background. And honestly, I worked in commercial real estate for 20 years. So when we talk about that dearth of diversity within the industry, like I've experienced it. I've walked in many of opportunities with investors, with organizations where there was a tremendous lack of diversity. I served as a client relationship manager, and all that really means in layman's terms is I work with institutions and I work with individuals to help them meet their goals. Their goals either were, how can I take this money or this organization's money and invest it, or how can you help us save money? So I work with organizations, major organizations, Fortune 500 companies that wanted us to basically help them save money within their real estate. And their real estate was office buildings, it was hotels, their real estate was industrial complexes, it was specialty use, it was stadiums. Everybody has different goals, different objectives. And so my role as a relationship manager was to bring the right resources on the table to make certain I understood what your objectives were and help you meet them, right? And so sometimes it was helping them save money, sometimes it was short-term gains, sometimes it was helping them to divest real estate. But I learned a wealth of different talents. But the key was my ability to understand not only the industry, what their needs for, and to serve them with the resources that were needed at the time.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I don't want to totally leave this, but I want to kind of move over because one, you've already shared what experience a scholar will receive as it relates to commercial real estate, but also specifically developing as a holistic leader. I think we have somebody in the room that can speak to that as well. Mr. Omar, let's talk about that. Okay, as a holistic leader, which if I mean I can close my eyes and I already know that's you. With that being said, talk to us about your experience because you specifically were a part of GSLI. You've also been a part of MS Jumpstart. So you've been a part of several programs within the LEAD community. Talk to us about your experience on developing as a leader in this program.
In addition to MS Jumpstart, I was also part of Jumpstart for Rex. And so I've been a part of LEAD for about 3 years now. Starting this summer, it'll be 3 years. Beginning my journey with LEAD began in Michigan through the GSLI. So I was on campus for 2 to 3 weeks just learning and obtaining knowledge that really propelled my career in education. So being a junior and going to Michigan, it helped me open my eyes to learning and uh, the social aspect. Like we would work on this project and collaborate. And so it's people I've never met before. So having to adjust to that and acquiring that growth as a person and as a learner, I think is very beneficial. And it's something that everyone will gain from being a part of LEAD. And so further along that, being an RTA and seeing my cohort grow as individuals and as a team has been something that it's pretty much a blessing to me because I enjoy that lifelong learning and that quest for education and knowledge. So just seeing these students grow from, being shy through Zoom and whatnot, and having that immersion through, Rex or Morgan Stanley, and having them fully developed through the time frame, whether it's 2-3 weeks, and beyond that, just having that that quest for learning, I think, is just something very. It's something you get out of LEAD.
I love it. I love it. So true. I don't want to leave your presence without asking you about not just your benefit, because we can see that. But what would you share with current high school scholars who are interested in applying for our GSLI program, or even other programs that we have here at LEAD? What would you share with them?
I would just say, just go for it. I remember walking into my dining room back at home a few years ago. My mom's sitting there, and I told her, "Hey, Mom, I really want to do this program. I know it's ways away from you. I'm your little baby, but I feel like it's something that'll help me grow as a person and as a learner." And she said, I told her all about it, and she said, "Go for it." So as long as you feel like you're doing something right for you and your family, just go for it, make the most of it. You will make connections. You'll have so much fun learning. So if you just go for it and really apply yourself, I think you'll be all right.
I love it. I'm going to ask this last question to both of you. One, as a lead parent, alum, as a director, as an RTA as well, as a fellow, as a lead fellow now, uh, interested in your perspective on how do we help parents, help individuals that are in the education industry. How do we help them, and specifically, how do we help them get students excited about the program? How do we help students recognize the value of this program? What are your thoughts as we close?
I can go first. I believe we just need genuine reactions to for lead. So we need more testimonials, more marketing lead as something beneficial not only for students of high school age, but beyond that and even before that.
Yeah.
So, for example, just going back to my mom, I've noticed that she has grown along with me. So, as I've grown my learning and education, I've also seen she's found growth in that. So,
Wow.
just providing that culture and that environment of learning to where the whole family can learn, and just providing genuine reactions, um, sharing with your friends, oh, I had this experience, we should go through this together, and this is what I learned today, not only for Lee but just in life in general.
Love
Good.
it.
Love that.
So it's infectious, right? So and first off, Omar, go blue. But the one thing, the thing that really jumped out at me, right? So because what we talk about a lot is how do we grow communities, right? So, and I think the way we do that, especially even with the Rex Jumpstart program, we have to be very intentional in our give, right? So it's really about, if we want to grow communities, we have to meet people where they are. And that's
Right.
both a literal and a physical thing. We have to go into the environment where they are, and be willing to share and to give and to help outside of just the boundaries of what we're looking for. Because if I'm trying to grow a community, I have to be willing to promote and uplift you at all aspects. So that's at all levels. So I really think in order to grow it with the parents, in order to grow it with the students, you have to be able to put yourself in a position to give to them what they need. And that may be, you may mold into where they are right now and provide them the discipline, the help. Because at the end of the day, once you show your intent and your desire to want to help, that does become infectious. What we're trying to do is cultivate that intellectual curiosity, right? We want to be able to grow that, because once you ignite that curiosity, then you're going to transform that individual in that community. So it's very infectious. We're excited about this program, all the programs, and so I want to be able to convey that to everyone. Like, it's not a panacea for
Yeah.
everything, but this is a huge opportunity, and I want to share it.
Yeah, I think what you just said, the feeling is infectious because we know what can come from this. Omar, you already showcased the fact that this is generational learning, and Michael as well. Like, and I will say, to your point, you don't just say it, you actually do it. You do live that, and I know that you are in the school systems regularly, talking about this particular program, meeting people where they are. And as a community, this is the discussion we have to have as we move forward. But let's take this time now and go deeper into understanding the programs, because I know there are people right now that are excited. But now the question is, okay, how do I sign up? Which program is starting when? And so let's take a few minutes right now. Dr. Drake, you can lead us off in highlighting some of the most amazing programs we have here in the LEAD community. Go for it.
Thanks, Kesia. So first of all, GSLI is our program that we begin. It actually will begin in earnest in June. We still have some potential seats available, so there's still opportunity to apply to many of our universities. It's a 3-week program, beginning 1 week virtual, 2 weeks in residence. Some of our schools are Duke, Northwestern, St. Francis, Lehigh. These are some of the institutions that are participating in GSLI. And again, it's for rising high school seniors. So if this is the summer of your 11th grade year and you're moving to become a senior in 2022, 2023 and graduate next year, then this is a program that's for you. We have also GILI. That is a program that is for scholars like Omar who are in college now. And those are for students, and that programming is really designed to give them exposure to internships and to other opportunities to learn and engage with the kind of workforce um, opportunities that are available in the 21st century. The next is EDLI, and that is a program that operates year round as well. And that is programming designed to work with adults, graduate students, and our alums who are in the workforce to really help them enhance their career trajectory. So all of those programs are in operation. And then there's two programs on our Jumpstart brand. One is Rex, which we've talked about just today. The other is with Morgan Stanley Jumpstart. That is, both these programs are year round. They are taught by industry experts, meaning that in the real estate Jumpstart Rex, um, the faculty is primarily made up of those who actually are practicing in the industry. So you get to learn real time, real stuff. And the same thing is true with Morgan Stanley Jumpstart. These are associates and analysts who are already working in the Morgan Stanley Corporation, and they are the major part of our faculty, and they will instruct and teach all of the things, not only that are germane to Morgan Stanley, but also in the financial service industry. So those are our programming options today. We would certainly encourage you to apply to GSLI. One thing that is clear is once you're in the lead community, your access to the other Jumpstart programs, in particular Rex and Morgan Stanley, are much more readily available to you. And in fact, we do tend to look at those applications more favorably when we're looking at someone that is coming from the lead community already.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I do want to throw this out. So you can find us at leadprogram.org and to get more information about those programs. I also want to make sure that we put out incentives because parents want to know, okay, is there any money that we're talking about as incentives? We currently do, especially as it relates to post-COVID, want to make sure that scholars are prepared and ready to start. So I do want to share, we are offering incentives right now for applicants who apply, get accepted, and complete the program successfully. An offer to receive a college application fee waiver to apply to any one of our partnering host institutions. We also offer the incentive of a book voucher. And if anybody has been to college, you know a book voucher is a wonderful thing. So a book voucher to use at the institute the scholars attend in the fall of 2023. We also have a referral program, and I want to make sure that we put that out there, where you can earn $125 for every applicant you refer to our summer program. And specifically right now, Dr. Drake, you mentioned our summer program is GSLI. We are in full swing with applications. So apply. Not only that, but complete the application so we can get started. That date, I want to make sure I share, the virtual master classes begin starting June 20th through June 25th. And the residential, because this is both a virtual and residential program, that starts on June 26th through July 9th. To apply, thank you very much. We see that in the chat. To apply for a Global Summer Learning Institute, GSLI, go to leadprogram.org, apply. And you can apply for Rex as well, leadprogram.org/Rex apply. And go ahead and get started. I think we've already showcased the beauty and benefits of this program. Our final dead-end date for application, I do believe, is Dr. Drake, you want to share that date?
It's June 1st. June 1st. Yes.
That is it, which is right around the corner. So you do not want to let the doors close on you. So you can visit our programs at leadprogram.org. Dr. Drake, I'm going to turn it over to you for the final words for today.
Well, I just want to first of all thank everyone that was part of the panel today. Certainly, Michael and Omar and the other panelists that joined prior, Dave Heinrichs and Tawana Walker, both also very important to our community and to the work we do. And of course, to really thank everyone who has participated and has been part of today. We have absolutely enjoyed sharing with you things about our community. We will have another event on May 20th. At that point, we'll be able to repeat what we said today and also share any new updates that may have occurred since today up till then. But most importantly, I guess I just want to say that this experience, this organization, which is now in its 42nd year, while it has so much to be proud of, as Kesia said, that I always say, we haven't done our best work yet. And until we are able to touch every life that's available to us, we got to keep working. We got to keep looking at how we make and prepare our young people and our adult learners for the future of work, and also to help them be the best version of themselves. So Kesia, we thank you so much for leading us through the conversations today. As always, you do one of the most amazing jobs of making sure that the right questions get answered and the right questions get asked.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Michael Strickland, Omar Camacho, and all of our panelists that came. This has been a wonderful morning of conversation on experiential education with Dr. Lawrence Drake and the LEAD community. With that being said, I will say thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day. Please, again, apply. I see you in the room. Put it in the chat. If you've enjoyed yourself, put it in the chat. Let us know. And we will be back on May 20th. Have a great day. Bye-bye.